Ah, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to Man's Hour, episode 61 on baseball. I took a bit of a fall break, as it were, here the past couple of weeks. I've just been so damn busy. I've been traveling. I have been all over the place. If you guys were familiar with the OGC and the Old Glory Club content, I got the chance to hang out with Mr. Clausington over the weekend. So we got breakfast with each other. I think man, what was he, like a episode 5 or 6 veteran from Man's Hour? I'd have to go back and look at the episode. I seem to recall that was a good one. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it one of these days. But yes, work has been very intense lately, IRL, as well as work at the OGC. We're doing a lot of good stuff over there, and been traveling around as well here. And I felt like I just needed a little bit of a break here, but we are back. We're back at them here, and we're not stopping anytime soon. So, to start things off today, we're going to talk about a sport that I hold very, very near and dear to my heart, and it is, of course, America's pastime itself, the great game of baseball, and of course, the conclusion of the 2023 World Series just happened last night. It was finished up in 5 games. Texas Rangers beating the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Rangers securing their first ever World Series title here. And as a matter of fact, we've got it right here on the screen. Let's watch the final out, shall we? Boom.
Their 63rd season. It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Man, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Unbelievable. Those of you who are Texas natives will know the troubled history that the Rangers have had securing a World Series win. This is their first one they ever got in franchise history. They went to the World Series back-to-back in 2010 and 2011, and 2011 was particularly gut-wrenching because in that series, which I argue it's definitely the greatest World Series that's been played in the last 30, 40 years, at least. The 2011 one, what an amazing set of baseball games that was. But in that series, the Rangers were 1 strike away from winning the entire series twice. And the Cardinals ended up coming back, down to their very last strike, and they secured the series. So Texas went home empty-handed. So I'm sure that all the Texas fans, like my good friends Nuke and Governor Megatron and Chad Elkins and everybody there down in Texas was probably jumping up and down, jumping for joy as they finally secured that World Series win. They've been a franchise for 63 years, and they've now finally gotten their first win. So good for them. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers here. So yes, CT, this is not a sport understood by most Europeans and quite frankly, most Americans at this point, but we're going to get to that here. So I'm basically going to spend the rest of the show today convincing everybody why baseball is the superior sport in America. It is the best of the 4 professional sports that is played in the States over here. We don't count soccer over here. Soccer's not a sport as far as America is concerned. We play like the real sports over here. I was talking recently with a bunch of the OGC guys about the reason soccer is so popular all over the globe is, well, quite frankly, it's the poor man's sport. All you need are 4 rocks and a ball, and that's literally all you need. But baseball, of course, it was came about in America here. We have wide open spaces, field of dreams, as it were. You can actually carve out the stadiums and all that good stuff. So there's plenty of reasons to be loving on baseball here, and I've got all kinds of stuff to be showing you guys on this one. Bit of a lecture, kind of like some of my previous ones. I think I'm going to keep this solo, solo style for Man's Hour going for at least a little bit here. I like the solo style, and I don't like having to rely on guests and everything, and I'm pretty booked these days, so I might do a couple solo casts for a few weeks here, and then get back to the guests following after that. So I don't get enough time to monologue by myself when I'm out and about on other people's streams, so figured I'd get some ideas out here, as it were. I do want to do a couple lectures coming up here. I want to do one on the history of the horse and horseback riding. That's something I've been working on in the background for quite some time. So you guys can learn about the Step Warriors from Central Asia and the Bronze Age and all that fun stuff. So I'm planning on doing that. I'm also going to do one on megafauna, like the giant mammals and such that existed after the dinosaurs. So that's coming down the pipeline as well. And I got a couple other ones in the works here. So be on the lookout for that. But one of the things that I really like about baseball compared to all other the four major sports in America, of course, the other ones being American football, basketball, and ice hockey. The thing that's so special about baseball, well, there's a couple of things. Number one, and you'll see this when you're watching like any of these like conclusions to like the World Series or anything like this. Like you guys can go and watch like compilation videos, like the final outs or everything like this. What's so nice about baseball is that there's no clock, which is something I really, really like. In other sports, you tend to be like clock watching, running it down, and you can get into like some weaselly tactics, like in football, the guy's got the ball and he just like, grabs the ball, sets his knee down, and just runs out the clock kind of deal. I don't really care for that too much. I like how in baseball there is there's a set goal that everyone is working towards. It's like, okay, we got to get 3 outs in this inning, or we got to score this many runs, and that's it. And it's always spontaneous as to how the game is going to end. No 2 games of baseball have ever ended the exact same way, ever. They're the same number of pitches, what the pitch count was, where the pitch was located, who hit the ball, was it hit and play, did the guy strike out, did he hit a home run? No 2 games of baseball are ever the same. They're almost all of them are radically different from each other. So that's one thing right there. Another thing that I personally really enjoy about baseball is that there's a lot of variety as it comes down to the ballparks that you go to. So there is not a standard size for a baseball diamond in a baseball ballpark. There's only a standard for the infield. So the distance between home plate to first base to second base to third for down to home plate. Those are all standard, 90 feet distance. But as it relates to the right field fence, the left field fence, the center field fence, where you can actually hit a home run, every single ballpark is different. And some of them are really hitters friendly ballparks. Like they have short fields in left and right field. Some of them are much longer. You go to a ballpark like Fenway Park in Boston. There's a giant, as they call it, the green monster in left field, because the ballpark is really old. So when they constructed it at the time, there's just a giant wall there. So there's no stands in left field except way up at the top. So it's very difficult to hit a home run in the left field seats at Fenway Park. But when you do hit one, like the ball is just out of here. It gets crushed. Let's see, where's some other ballparks that come to mind? Is it, I forget the name. I think it's Chase Field, maybe. Someone correct me in the chat. In San Francisco, where the Giants play. The outfield is positioned right into San Francisco Bay. So people can actually hit home runs and it goes out into the water in San Francisco Bay. And during all the, really packed World Series games and playoff games, you'll actually have like kayakers and canoers sitting outside of the stadium hoping to catch a home run ball, which does occasionally happen. I remember when they had the All-Star game there in San Francisco several years ago. And of course, accompanied with the All-Star game every year where, the best players all play together in the middle of the season. They also accompanied with the home run derby, the classic. So, the best sluggers in baseball all get up there at home plate and try and crack as many home runs as they possibly can. And it was just an absolute ball of, guys in their kayaks and canoes and stuff catching home run balls out in the seats and everything. And, the spontaneity of, hits in baseball, most specifically like the home run, just there's almost nothing else like it. I think the closest match you could get would be something like a shootout in a hockey is probably the next closest thing you're going to get in any other professional sport here. But man, like just hearing like the crack of the bat, the ball just goes flying. You could watch it the entire time, goes screaming into the stands. Everyone jumps up in the air, losing their minds all over the place. It's fantastic. Let's see. Oracle Park. Yeah, maybe Corbin. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while since I went to the San Francisco ballpark long time ago. It's been a long time. I think I've been to like maybe around like a dozen now ballparks at this point. Of course, there's 30 currently. 30 baseball teams as of right now. That looks like it's going to be changing. I think it's either this season or next season. The MLB is meeting for another extension. They do this every dozen years or so. They want to expand a couple more teams. The last expansion that they did was in the 90s. They have since like switched teams around since then. So like Washington Nationals, for example, used to play in Montreal. They were the Expos, and they got moved in 2005, I think it was. So they moved to Washington. The Houston Astros switched to leagues somewhere around like 2015 or something like that, to switch from the National League to the American League. So things are fluctuating. I know like Oakland, the Oakland A's are in negotiation to move to Las Vegas, like the Raiders did in the NFL. So Oakland might be losing their baseball team, which is a shame, because the stadium there, the Coliseum as they call it in Oakland, has more foul ground, like foul ball territory, than any other stadium. So it's a very like pitchers friendly ballpark there. So it's much easier to hit a foul ball, much easier for people to catch the foul ball when it's in foul territory and get yourself an easy out. So a lot of different things going on there, of course. But yeah, so baseball is absolutely fantastic. I grew up playing the sport. It was the sport I played the most of. Like you play like you kind of like sample a bunch of them, like when you're a little kid. Like your parents will sign you up for like Boy Scout soccer or something like that, or like school basketball or something like that. But baseball was one that always stuck with me. And I played every single position in my time playing baseball. I played for over a dozen years, and in that time I played every position in it. I really liked, I loved being a pitcher. That was some of my favorite stuff to do. Like pitching is always one of my favorite positions. And the reason for that, and this is like the big reason here with why baseball is so unique and such like this. Let me pull up this other tab here really quick, and I will show you guys exactly what I mean here. So let's share screen. Boom, boom. All right, there we go. So, what is so different for in baseball compared to all the other sports? And this is why people always have the criticism, like, "Oh, Hawk, baseball is so boring. Nothing ever happens. It's just two guys standing there and the guy throwing a ball back and forth. The guy's trying to hit it." And what people don't understand is that baseball is a game of chess. That's basically all it is. Every single play, every single pitch is a game of chess that's going on between the catcher, the pitcher, and the guy who's in the batter's box. And there's many different ways that you can play this game of chess. So there's a lot of things going on all at once here. A lot of people don't know this, actually. The catcher is the one who is arguably the most important position on the entire field. The catcher sitting behind the base is the one who's actually calling the shots to the pitcher, signaling pitches, where he wants to go, what pitch he wants to throw, which direction he wants to throw it in across the plate. Right. And you have multiple different kinds of pitches. There's like 15 of them or something like that. And depending on how the pitcher holds the ball properly and the strength of his throwing arm, the pitch is going to move in a certain direction across the plate at a certain point in time and at a certain speed. So you've got your fastballs here. Those are the ones that can reach up to, between 90 and 100 miles an hour if you're a really, really good pitcher. And some fastballs, like a two-seamer, will actually move across the plate. So as the pitcher is releasing the ball from his hand, the ball looks like it's going to go on the right-hand side of the plate, but because he's holding the ball in a certain way, the ball is actually going to move in either to the left or to the right across the plate, right? And you want to try and get it into the strike zone, so you strike the guy out, basically. So and then you've got all kinds of other pitches here, like splitters and cutters. Like a splitter is a pitch that goes 12 to 6 o'clock. So basically, like it starts at the top of the zone and then sinks right down. And it's a game of chess the whole time, because the hitter is thinking, okay, well, this is the count right now. I have one ball, one strike on me right now. The pitcher at this point is not necessarily ahead of the count. It's a very even count. 1 and 1 is pretty even, right? It takes 4 balls for you to get a free base. The batter can, go walk towards first base without having to hit the ball in play. So he gets to walk out there. And of course, as we all know, 3 strikes are out. So the pitcher is trying to get the guy to swing and miss. The batter is trying to hit the ball into play while also not, taking pitches in the zone. The worst thing you could ever do as a hitter in baseball is strike out, and not just strike out swinging, strike out looking. That's the worst thing you could possibly do ever in baseball. Just stand there, with your dick in your hand, basically, as the pitch just goes flying by you, and you strike out without even swinging, without even putting the ball in play. Because even if you swing and you miss, that opens up the opportunity for other things to be going on the field potentially. Like someone could be stealing a base. One of your base runners could be on like first. And if you swing the bat, that obstructs the vision of the catcher, so he might not necessarily see the base runner at first base go running towards second or something like that. So you can even swing the ball or swing the bat like on 2 strikes and strike out, and you could still be useful. But if you're just standing there not doing anything, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. And so this is what the pitcher's trying to do. He's saying, okay, well, maybe I can throw this slider on the outside corner of the plate, and by the time I'm releasing the ball from my hand, the batter doesn't have enough time to react. So basically the reaction time is it takes around 1/4 of a second for your brain to process that something is coming at you, and then it takes another 1/4 of a second for you to tell the muscles in your body how to react, and then it takes another 1/4 second for you to actually initiate the action. So basically, within less than 1 second, you're having all these things going on in your brain as the batter and as the pitcher. Like, okay, it looks like he's going to throw it this way, and it looks like that ball is going to come over here. So I need to swing this bat because I think it's going to be a strike. And if I don't swing, I'm going to be called out. So now I need to swing. Well, finding the location of the pitch is only one part of the equation. You also have to factor in the speed of the pitch. And this is the important part here with something like a curveball or a changeup. You'll see those at the bottom. The changeup is an extremely slow pitch. Like you could have changeups that go into, some pitchers even throw them in the high 60s, like 60 miles an hour. So that's a significant change, 30-mile-an-hour difference between a fastball and a changeup or a curveball or something like that. So those changes in speeds is going to change your reaction time as to when you're actually going to swing at the ball. So if in the whole game basically is the catcher is trying to fool the pitcher, the catcher's trying to fool the batter into thinking, okay, in this count, I should be throwing this pitch, but I'm going to tell my pitcher to throw this other pitch that he has on this side of the plate to get this guy to, swing. It's a very like pattern recognition game is essentially what it is here. All right. So let's say for an example, you have 3 balls and 1 strike and you're sitting in the batter's box. That's a very friendly hitter's count for a number of reasons. The pitcher does not want to throw a ball outside of the zone to try and get you to chase in that circumstance, because if you throw a ball outside the zone, you just literally gave the guy a free bag and now he's on base, right? So if you're 3-1, you are sitting in the batter's box thinking, okay, this guy is going to throw me a strike. He has to, because if he doesn't throw me a strike, I'm going to get a free base anyway, and he just wasted a pitch. And pitchers, it's very taxing on your arm to be throwing these balls at 100 miles an hour. The natural throwing position of your arm is not to throw it overhand like that. But the reason that pitchers will do that, like to kick up their leg and throw it overhand, I've got some clips over here in the future. I'll explain a little bit more here. But the natural throwing position of your arm is actually to throw the ball underhand, like you see in like softball pitchers, like women's sports. That's how women throw the ball. That is the natural rotation of your arm. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that you actually don't build up enough momentum with this to actually throw the ball super fast. So a softball pitcher is never going to be able to throw a ball as fast as an actual baseball pitcher is, just because of like the physics at play. So because this is not the natural throwing position of your arm, it's very taxing on the pitcher to be throwing this many pitches in a ball game, especially at that high speed. So this is why pitchers only pitch once every 5 days, the starting pitchers at least. And typically they only pitch between 70 and 100 pitches in one game. All right. So every time he is wasting energy and wasting his arm throwing a pitch is bad for that guy. Ideally, what a pitcher wants to do is throw a ball down the plate and the batter hits it in play every single time, and one of his defensive players on the field throws the guy out. That's ideally, like, perfect scenario, what the pitcher would want. All right. Now, of course, that doesn't ever happen, most of the time. Most of the time, you either strike a guy out with 3 pitches, or you're going to, struggle with the count a little bit, throw 5 or 6 pitches in an entire at bat or something like that. So you don't want to be wasting pitches is the point I'm getting at here. So you're sitting in the box. You got 3-1 is your count right there, right? A strike is coming if you're the hitter, but now you have to think in your brain, okay, well, I know that he should be throwing a strike, and the pitcher knows that he should be throwing a strike, but he could still try to fool me right now. And a lot of good pitchers, what they will do is they will throw pitches like thinking that the guy knows that this ball is coming, but they can switch it up a little bit and try to fool him again and trying to get him to chase the ball and then go back towards a more friendly pitcher's count here. So the pitcher 3-1 throws a ball. Maybe it's like a 4-seam fastball or something like that. And he throws it in the zone, like towards the batter for some reason. All right. And the guy swings at it because he thinks it's a strike coming, but the ball is actually a little bit closer to him and not inside the batter's box technically. So he fooled him. Now, also there's some strategy going on there because um, getting hit getting hit by a pitch at 100 miles an hour is not fun, and it's extremely, extremely painful. Trust me. Speaking from experience, it's not fun to get hit by one of these things. So the brain of the batter in the batter's box, no matter how tough the guy is, no matter how much he's thinking about this and how much he's been hit by the ball before, nobody wants to get beamed by a pitch like this. So just in your brain, as the pitch comes into the zone, right, like closer to you, closer to your hands, closer to your chest or something like that, you are just naturally going to back away from the batter's box. Like it's just something that's going to happen in your brain, right? Because nobody wants to get hurt or anything like this, right? So what good pitchers will do after that point is like they throw a really, really fast ball right in around the guy's hands or something like that to get him to brush back off the plate a little bit. And then the very next thing he'll do is he'll throw a pitch on the other side of the plate when the guy is already backed up a little bit, and he'll throw it on the opposite side. So it's a lot harder for him to hit. Okay. The closer that you're imagining the bat, right? Like physics wise, right? If the pitch is closer to you, it's easier. It takes less time for you to actually get your hands on the ball and swing, right? So the closer the pitch is to the actual batter, to the batter's hands, you don't need to swing the bat as long, so you can actually catch up to the ball, so to speak, and hit it faster, right? If the ball is further away, just by the natural way you're swinging the bat, you have to hit it with the end of the bat. So it's actually going to take you longer for you to get that swing all the way through the batter's box, as opposed to if the ball was right in among your hands, right? So if you, like, say, throw an extremely, extremely fast ball, in and around the guy's hands, and then you throw the exact same faster ball on the other side of the plate, the guy's not going to be able to react in time, and there you go. You just got him to swing, and you got him to miss. So this is the important part of what's going on in baseball all the time. It's a guessing game. It's a mind game. It's a pattern recognition game. It's a game of chess at all times. And this is when if you know what you're doing and if you know what you're watching in these games, this is what makes it really, really fun and really entertaining to watch if you actually know what you're looking for, right? So if you're sitting there and you're watching a game like the World Series or something like that, and you've been watching baseball and playing baseball as long as I have, you could just sit there on your couch and in your brain, and you can actually predict where the pitch is going to go. And this is actually really fun to do when you're excuse me, when you're watching a baseball game with other people who actually don't know about the sport, or they haven't played the sport, or they don't know much about it. It's very entertaining when you could just say, oh yeah, he's going to throw a pitch here, and it's going to be around this speed, and it's going to be in this side of the strike zone, and this is what he has to do. And you can pretty much just predict pitches and point them out on the map. And it's really interesting to do with that, because people are like, what? How'd you predict that, Hawk? How do you know what the hell's going on? It's like, well, it's a guessing game. It's a game of chess. There's only a certain amount of moves you can make, and this is the most logical move at this point in time. And there you go. So yeah, multiple different ways of holding this ball a specific way and throwing it down the plate. And the ball is going to do wildly different things. Some of them will move from side to side. Some of them will move straight down. Some of them won't move at all. Some of them go really, really fast. Some of them go really, really slow. Some of them go slow and they move. Some of them go fast and they move. There's all kinds of combinations that are going on here. So it's a very, very fun guessing game in that regard. Now, most pitchers will have somewhere between 3 and 5 pitches that they use. It's very, very rare for a pitcher to have more than 5. I think because it's very, very difficult to, it's easy enough to actually throw the ball, but it's very difficult to do it with repetition, and to the point where you could put it directly in the catcher's mitt, where he's calling for you to put this ball. So the catcher's sitting behind the plate. He's got a scouting report on this pitcher. He's signaling to the pitcher with signs with his left hand, in between his legs, so the other opposing team coaches won't be able to see what's going on, what signs he's sending over to the pitcher, so they rehearse their roles. They know what pitch he's going to throw. He puts the glove over the plate. He's like, put it right here, put this ball right here. And, to do that with efficiency every single time and consistency is the really, really difficult part. So that is that for pitches. And man, oh man, did I love being a pitcher. That's so much fun. Striking somebody out is some of the most fun you could ever do. Well, God, I loved doing that in baseball back in the day. So let's see now. Let me go over here to all right. Let's see here. What clip do I have here that I want to show off right now? let's see. Yeah, so speaking of here, let me pull this up on the screen here. Speaking of the game we were talking about earlier, let me embiggen this. There we go. Let's put me down here. There we go. Yeah, you don't need to see that. Yeah. So this is like the actual final inning of the game that went on last night here, and we can take a look at the picture here and see exactly what I'm.
And Josh
Here.
Score is staying in the game here.
By the way, Susan, fair use. It's on YouTube. I don't want to hear any crap from Fox or any other bullshit or anything like this about what is going on.
For the
You know, I might not even play the audio here. It's probably not even that important. So here we go. We got our pitcher here, Spores, and Perdomo up here on the plate, right? So look at that. Look at that catcher right there, outside corner. Very common first place to put your pitch, right? Now it's the first pitch. Typically, the first pitch that someone always does, they throw a fastball first. All right, and the reason why they throw a fastball first is to get the guy thinking and adjusted to hitting this pitch that's extremely fast, right? So typically, one of the techniques that you could use as a pitcher is, okay, we're going to throw 3 fastballs first to start off to get this guy thinking, okay, we're going to keep on throwing the fastball. That's what we're going with. We're going to get it on this side of the zone. We're going to get him accustomed to swinging at this ball, because you guys have to remember when I was talking about earlier how you basically have 1 second between all the actions being done, like the pitcher throwing the pitch, it going across the plate, the guy taking a swing. It's all about 1 second. It's about how long it actually will last for. And in that 1 second time span, that 20-mile-an-hour difference between how fast your pitch is being thrown across the plate makes a huge, huge difference on your swing here. So one of the tactics that people will use, which is very, very common, they'll throw like 3 fastballs or something like that. They're like, 80, 90, in some cases 100 miles an hour. Get the hitter accustomed to seeing this ball. And then for the 4th pitch, we're going to throw something slow. We're going to throw a curveball. We're going to throw a changeup or something like that. And then we're going to take that speed down 20 miles an hour, and we're going to get the guy to swing and miss because he's thinking he's going to get a fastball here. He swings his bat too quickly, and he swings before the ball even gets across the plate. There you go. Strike 1. So here we go. Let's see what he does. There you go. There's your fastball right around the corner. Boom. 95 miles an hour. Perfect. All right, that's exactly what you're looking for here. And look at this guy. He's already struck out twice this game already. So here we go. Here's our next pitch here. All right, catcher's calling it. Same spot, same place. Again, no, another fastball coming. Let's see. Oh, he actually threw a curveball there. Yeah, and you can see the difference there. All right, let me actually rewind that a little bit. Run that 5 seconds here. Okay, so look at that. Outside corner, again, same location, right? The guy hasn't swung yet, but this time they're calling for a curveball. And you'll actually watch this ball. All right. Now on our screen right here, that ball is going to start around like 12 o'clock and go down to around 6 o'clock. Right now, imagine being in the batter's box, having this coming at you and thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? How am I going to hit this thing? Right. So there you go. Look at that. Look at that. It just arcs and goes right on down. Perfect. What a great pitch. And, yeah, right. Actually, really, really good pitch because let me go back again. Really good pitch. He's right on the edge of the zone there. Boom. Right on the edge of the strike zone. I mean, he got kind of lucky right there with the umpire calling it a strike. It was right on the borderline there, which is pretty much exactly what you want in a pitch like that. And so now the count is 0-2, right? This is a very, very unfriendly count if you're a hitter right now, right? There's a lot of things you can do right now. You have to protect the plate, because if a strike comes around, you're out. And especially in this case with the Arizona Diamondbacks here, this is the bottom of the 9th, right? They're down to their last 3 outs. This guy's got to make something happen. So he's got to go out there and start swinging, right? So now the pitcher and the catcher can have a lot of fun with this guy. They've got a lot of wiggle room to work with. He needs to throw 4 balls in order to give this guy a base, basically. So he's got a lot of wiggle room here. He could throw a pitch outside the zone and get the guy to chase because he has to. If the ball comes across the plate, he gets a strike, he's screwed. So he has to start protecting the plate and start swinging at the ball here. So let's see what he does. There goes. He throws the curveball again, but way outside the zone. So he took the pitch. Yep. Doesn't need to be swinging at that thing. It's way out there. No, but okay, here we go. Now it's 1-2. Basically, a repeat of that one. Still a very friendly pitcher's count. The pitcher is ahead here, right? So now let's see what they do this time. Now, what I would do in this circumstance, if I was a pitcher, I don't know what Sobars's pitches are, like what he actually holds, but if I was in this circumstance, I would throw what would I throw in this circumstance? Well, see, the other thing is I don't have a scouting report on this guy, so I don't know what direction he likes to hit the ball and what direction. But I would still work the outside corner in this case, and I would probably throw another breaking ball of some kind, another curveball here, and see if you can get the guy to chase. And then the next pitch, I'd probably go back to the fastball here. So let's see what he does. Well, he's going fastball up. Yeah, there you go. Now that's interesting. Now that's interesting right there. See, the catcher was signaling him for him to go up, but he actually threw the ball down a little bit, right? And he actually got a good piece of that ball. Hit it foul, right? So he stays alive. You hit a ball foul, doesn't count as a strike if you're on 2 strikes. If you hit a foul ball, oh damn it, I just reset it back a bit. Let's see. Oh, I guess he strikes him out here. Yeah. So if you have 2 strikes and you hit a foul ball, you're still alive, right? So let's see. Looks like he's gonna strike him out here. Oh wow. Yeah. I would be upset with that call too. Yeah, look at him shaking his head. Shaking his head right there. That curveball pretty much ended up in the exact same spot as the previous one. And the umpire, I guess he was being pretty aggressive with that call throughout all the night. That's how the game ended too. Was on a curveball, but the game ended with it up in the zone. So, but here we go. So he struck him out, which is always a nice thing for the pitcher to do. Limits the amount of failures and such that could happen on the field. Your defensemen, they don't even have to bother catching the ball or getting it to first. None of that stuff. Striking somebody out is always something nice that you want to do as a pitcher here. So, one back to the curveball. All right. So here we go. Now he's 1-0, right? Now he's behind in the count. Now, he's not super far behind. It's only 1 pitch, and he's got to throw 4 of them to give the guy the bag. So that's not the worst thing in the world. But ideally, what you want to do is throw a strike here. So there you go. See, up in the zone. It's a foul ball. Is he going to catch it? Yeah, he's going to catch it. There you go. Foul ball. He's out. There you go. Now that guy who was just up at the plate was trying to be aggressive here and make something happen. It's the bottom of the 9th here. Games. Elimination game in the World Series. We got to make something happen here, right? And so here we go. Here's our last batter here of the game. I mean, he retired the side 1, 2, 3, so he doesn't get on base or anything like this, and he ends up striking him out. But we'll do a couple more pitch predictions here. Go back to the fastball. Down in the zone. Didn't get the call that time though. That ball was like, oh wow, this guy walked 3 times in that game last night. Wow, interesting. All right, so here you go. Here, look at that, signaling for another ball, right there on the corner of the zone. This guy really likes this corner here. Well, they've all had a bunch of lefty batters as well. That's another thing too. So if you're a right-handed batter here, you want to work like the other side of the zone here because remember what I was talking about before, how it takes you longer to swing the bat at a ball that's outside the zone, right? Just because of physics and everything like this. So if you're a right-handed batter, a pitcher wants to work the left-hand side of the plate here. And if you're a left-handed batter, a pitcher wants to work the right side of the plate. It's harder for you to hit the ball. All right. So let's see. Bam. Fastball actually creeped up a little bit. See, this guy's location isn't, perfect, but most pitchers aren't. It's really, really difficult to replicate that time and time again with every single one of your pitches, especially, under a high pressure situation like this. It's a World Series. It's loud. There's 30,000 people in the stands screaming at you. It's the pressure and everything. It's not easy. So here he goes with this next pitch. Curveball. Now that is extremely dangerous. What just happened right there? If this guy Marte here was paying attention and was predicting this ball where he was, that ball could easily end up in the outfield seats easily. You leave a ball like that that's going slow, that's easy for somebody to hit up in the zone like that, where you can get underneath it with the bat. You could send that ball into the stands very, very easily if you know what you're looking for. So yeah, you want to be really, really careful sending balls like that up in the zone. Like, look at that. That thing is just literally just sitting there right now, but he wasn't looking for it. No, if he was looking for it, if he was predicting it like that, oh man, he could have absolutely crushed that ball easily. But yeah, wasn't looking for it. So it creeped back into the zone. Got a strike. I think this next pitch right here is the one that he strikes him out on. It might be the next one after.
Half century to get to the World Series. Can they finish it off? It's on 2 balls and 2 strikes on Marte.
All inside the zone. So that's good what he did right there. He threw that fastball again, like let's go back right there. Yeah, he threw that fastball in and amongst his legs a little bit, and he's going to brush him back off the plate a little bit here. Now, I think he actually gets back in the box pretty much right where he is. I mean, it's literally the last out down to the last strike. If he gets hit by the ball, whoop-de-doo at this point. They're pretty much out of options. So
2 balls and 2 strikes on Marte.
Just better make sure to be pausing this to prevent, Mohan or Susan or whoever the hell is listening here with all this crap. Well, but yeah, here we go. Down to your last strike, down 5-0. Not looking good for you, but we'll get to that later. There've been comebacks before.
In their 63rd season.
See, there he goes with that curveball again that hung up in the zone. Again, like if Marte was looking for it, he could easily crush that ball. So he actually missed his spot a couple of times in this at bat. He could have easily been punished for it. I'm guessing this guy. I don't know much about this. I didn't know much about the Texas roster going into the postseason this year. So I'm guessing this guy is one of their relief pitchers or something like that. I mean, throwing 30 pitches, that's a lot for a reliever like this. So he might be losing his control a little bit, something like that. But doesn't matter. They got him.
It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. Fantastic. So that's just a little bit of an example here of, the mental games that are at work here when you're playing baseball like this. Now, let's go and take a look at, I got a couple other clips here. Back on the subject of pitching, this guy here is one of my favorite pitchers playing the ball game today, and for a number of reasons, which we'll get to in a moment here. So this here is Justin Verlander, number 35. This guy is one of the most dominant pitchers of his entire generation here. Excellent pitcher, right-handed pitcher. Guy won most valuable player award, Cy Young awards. This guy is an easily first ballot Hall of Fame pitcher. The guy married supermodel Kate Upton, who's got boobs bigger than your face. So yeah, good for this guy. Fantastic. But here's some highlights of the postseason last year, and this guy is just such a wicked pitcher. Particularly his curveball is what is so good about Verlander, and also his fastball as well. Verlander routinely throws the ball over 100 miles an hour, and then he throws this crazy curveball. Hopefully, there's a couple of pitches of it in this compilation where this ball just drops like a weight. It's crazy, a very difficult ball to hit. So let's see a couple of these. We actually don't need the volume here again for Susan purposes. But, and of course the damn thing lags out. Wonderful. Let me stop sharing here for a second. There we go. Now it goes back, of course. As soon as I take it off the share, it wants to go again. So there we go. Here's so here we go. Here's another strikeout. There you go. Yeah, got the guy swing and miss. That's a fastball up, swing and a miss. Yeah, another fastball. Not very happy with that one. There's that curveball. There it is. There it is. I knew it was going to be in here somewhere. I knew it was going to be, it had to have been in here somewhere. This pitch is so wicked. Crazy. Like, how are you supposed to deal with this thing? When it's coming into the zone like that. Just watch how far this pitch drops. Look at that thing. Oh, unbelievable. He threw it again, way outside the zone. Like, that guy shouldn't have been swinging at that one, but he had 2 strikes, he had to go chasing. But, oh, man, there he goes again. He threw it again. That curveball is wild. Love that pitch. There he goes. Well, very good pitcher. Old Verlander here. So, yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Close this out here, and I want to show a couple more highlights here of so this right here. I was mentioning this earlier about the Rangers struggling with getting their World Series win here. This is what happened in 2011 They had lost the World Series in 2010 to the San Francisco Giants. Here they are in 2011 against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have the second most World Series wins at this point. They're at like 11 or 12 or something like that. I mean, the Yankees are obviously number one. They're like 27 or 28 at this point, so the Yankees are, they had such a long dynasty in the early 1900s. They were like the team to beat that everyone went and played for. That doesn't really happen so much anymore in baseball. Baseball's got a lot of parity in it. In the last 10 years, only one team has done a repeat in that same 10-year period. The Houston Astros have won it twice in that 10-year period. But other than that, everyone else is like a single. It's very rare that you have like dynasties in baseball anymore, mostly because there's 162 games in a season, and it's very, very difficult to like pull that off 2 seasons in a row. So there's a lot of parity in baseball. A lot of teams will, they'll have good players and they'll make the playoffs, a couple of years in a row, but it's extremely rare to see teams like win the World Series a couple times in a row. I mean, it happened. Famously, it happened in the 90s when the Yankees won four of them in the 90s, and the Blue Jays won 2. So, and then the Braves were in the thick of it almost the entire 90s as well. So the 90s was an interesting decade for baseball here. But this is 2011, Game 6 of the World Series. The Rangers are 1 strike away from winning the whole game. And then this guy, David Freese, comes in. And I remember watching this game live. And like I said before at the start of the stream, this is my pick for probably the best World Series that has happened in the last 30, 40 years or so. This whole series that went for 7 games is just absolutely amazing. So 1 strike away. Can they put it away? Well, we know the history.
Into right, well hit. Back at the wall.
Misses the ball.
1 run scores. Here comes Berkman. Freese has tied it.
There you go. 1 strike away. Scores 2 guys. Ties up the game in the 9th inning. 7-7. Crowd is just going absolutely nuts. But it gets even better as we will soon see. This damn lag is pissing me the fuck off. So here you go in the 11th. It's now 9-9. They've been going back and forth with each other for 2 innings, scoring more runs between the two of them. And here you go in the bottom of the 9th here. And Freese, the same guy who tied the game 2 innings earlier, his next at bat comes up and he jacks one right into center field.
We will see you tomorrow night.
So there you go. Crushes that ball, absolutely pulverizes it. Yeah, that's why the damn quality is all screwed up. That's why he's doing it. Yeah, amazing moment. And they would go on to win the next game in a blowout. They won like 7-3 or something in Game 7. So they blew out the Rangers in the next one. But yeah, amazing. Absolute legendary game. All right, let's see here. And one of the other things that is fantastic about baseball is that there's an extremely rich history of baseball broadcasters and announcers. Baseball has been played for such a long time in America. It started in the late 1800s, and the Major League Baseball was officially founded in the 1890s. So it's extremely, extremely old sport. Still going on to this day, obviously. The oldest, I think it holds the title as the oldest professional sport. At this point. So obviously, baseball's been around since before the television was around. And back in the day, before there were TVs around, there was a very rich, history of baseball sportscasters and broadcast announcers and such. And they still have a lot of them today. Now on like radio broadcasts and such. So you can just listen to the games as opposed to watching them and such. And so there's like a whole community of guys who, will copy each other, like the great sportscasters of old, and they'll use like the same tones and everything like this. And this next one that I have right here show for you guys is a 2006 game, which I just absolutely love this. This cast right here.
Swinging a fly ball, left field, it's deep, it's way back. The Tigers are going to the World Series. 3-run walk-off home run. Oh man! Ojoji has the round third. sweep in one of the greatest turnarounds in baseball history.
Yeah, so it's very different listening to it over the radio as opposed to, listening to it in like the sports book and the sportscast or something like that. It just has like a nostalgic feel to it and stuff, even though this game was in 2006. But I do love that like the sound of like the sportscaster and stuff in the radio booth as opposed to, somebody like like Joe Buck infamously is the guy who's been calling a lot of the World Series games recently, and the guy is terrible. He's a nepotism hire. His dad was a famous NFL broadcaster, and Joe is terrible at calling baseball games. He's awful. I've watched numerous games over the years where he just names like players incorrectly in the middle of it, for no reason. Like I remember in one World Series, he just like called a guy the completely wrong first name and the last name. It's just he's garbage at his job. Well, not a big fan of Joe Buck for many, many reasons and such, but yeah. So I like all right, let's see. Yeah, I do. So yeah, it's fantastic listening to like the casts from like the radio and the sports cast, and you guys can actually go and hear a bunch of these on YouTube. Like they even have some of them saved from like the 20s and the 30s and such. Some of these sports casts and things like this. You can hear like them calling it. You can hear like the screams from people in the stands, and everything like this. It's really cool, the nostalgia to it and everything like this. And baseball, just by the nature of the sport, is extremely easy to like just listen to. Like you don't even have to watch it because like you just describe it very easily. Like, oh, here's a ground ball to the second base. Does he get him out? He's out. It's very, very simple to call. You don't actually need a complete visual representation of what's going on, like in football when there's 40 guys on the field at one time. In baseball there's 9. That's it. So it's very, very easy for you to manage. In your brain. It's very easy to listen to, and it's actually very entertaining to listen to as well. Here now, the last thing, well, there's actually 2 more things I want to show here. Let me pull this up. So we've been talking about a lot of strategies of pitchers, basically, but there's also strategies as it relates to in your batting order, in your batting lineup, right? So let's pull up a typical batting order right here. So this batting order right here, the Houston Astros 2023 potential starting lineup, right? So you've got your all your players here, right? Now, up until recently, I think they changed this in 2020 or was it 2019? I forget what year specifically, but baseball was also very unique for the longest time that in the 2 different leagues, the American League and the National League, there's 15 teams in each league. Well, there are currently. Before there used to be, 16 and 14 and such, but they changed that. But the so the different leagues used to have different rules, which was very unique as it relates to professional sports. Not something you would find in hockey, not something you'd find in football, not something you'd find in basketball, but the rules were extremely different, actually. In the National League, for the longest time, the National League pitchers would bat in the batting order, and in the American League, they would not. And they eventually changed this where both leagues no longer have pitchers batting, which I personally don't like. I actually kind of like the idea of having pitchers get in the batter's box and stuff like this. And I actually really liked the fact that it was just different. It was unique that, oh, I go to the National League and visiting a National League ballpark and the pitchers have to bat and stuff. It's very interesting. And it makes the batting lineups and the batting orders very different. And you saw this change actually, like really important changes in World Series games, because the best team in the American League faces off against the best team in the National League. And when the American League team has to go visit the National League ballpark, they would play by National League rules. And so the American League pitchers, who are not used to batting because they never have to, were just terrible all the time. And it was actually a disadvantage for the American leaguers when they would go to National League ballparks to play at least 2 games in the World Series, right? Because you have to play at least 2 in each ballpark. Because best of 7, 4-game sweep. You guys know math. You understand. So they changed this now where it's all DH, designated hitter. So this guy, the designated hitter, does nothing but bat. He does not set foot on the field. He doesn't play a position. He doesn't have to catch the ball. He has to do literally nothing except just hit the ball as hard as possible. This is essentially his role here. Now, there's a structure as to how you, create your batting lineup, right? So typically, there's 2 kinds of hitters. Typically, there's contact hitters and there's power hitters. All right. Now, your contact hitters are the guys who are not going to send the ball into the stands every single time they step up into the plate, because obviously, it requires a lot of power, requires a certain style of hitting, requires a certain like body, like a certain frame for you to be able to do it and hit in every single ballpark and such. So your contact hitters, though they can hit home runs, it's not what they're doing most of the time. They're hitting the ball in play. They're hitting singles. They're hitting doubles. Occasionally you're hitting triples if you're really, really fast or something like that, right? So typically what you want to do in your batting lineup is you want to have the first two, sometimes three of your players in the start of your lineup. You want them to be contact hitters, right? So they want to be these guys that you have higher batting averages, will actually get on base more often than your power hitters will, because typically with power hitters, they tend to be much bigger guys. They tend to be much taller, and they tend to be heavier and have more muscle and are built way more, right? So by the nature of being a power hitter, you're not going to get on bases often for a number of reasons. One, you're simply not going to be able to run as fast as a contact hitter to get to first base all the time. So you're going to get thrown out way more. If you're going to get thrown out way more, you're not going to be on base as much, and that doesn't really help you to be hitting in the front of the batting order if you're not going to get on base as much as a contact hitter. So look at the Astros here. Jose Altuve. He's a guy who can hit for power, and he does occasionally, which is very unique for him because he's a small guy. He's only like 5'6" or something like that. He's a pretty good player, pretty good second baseman too. So he in the front of their lineup is hitting first. God, who was their manager this year? Baker, I think was their manager. So the manager makes the lineup, and he's like, okay, my contact hitter, Altuve, he can get on base very frequently. I'm going to put him right at the front here. Michael Brantley, he's getting old at this point. Used to be much more of a contact hitter, but I guess they don't have room for him in the outfield. Maybe he's slowing down these days or something like that. Designated hitter is typically a spot for much older players. The other thing too is in baseball, players can play the game for over 20 years. It's actually fairly common that you'll have players that play like 10, 12, 15, 20-year careers, because the sport tends to not wear down on like your body as much as something like football would. Like a football player playing for 15 or 20 years is unheard of, because you're just getting decked into the dirt so many times. You're bound to break something at some point. But that's not the exact same thing with baseball players. They tend to get slower, and your reaction time might be a little bit slower, but you can still play into those times. So the designated hitter role is fantastic for a guy who either can't run very fast or he's getting a little bit old, but he can still put the ball in play, right? So typically your designated hitter is going to be a huge guy, who can hit for power all the time, and he's not useful for you in the field. So he typically would bat like fourth or fifth or something like that. But in this case, they've got him batting second. Bregman, he's a big guy. He's the third baseman. Typically, your corner infielders, so your third base and your first base and your catcher, are going to be the biggest guys on your team. They got big frames, they're stocky, they're heavily built. They got strong muscles, they're tall guys, typically. So those are the guys that are going to be hitting for power way more. Your outfielders, center field, left field, and right field, especially center field though, because center field has to cover the most territory to catch balls in the outfield. Those tend to be your smaller guys. They tend to be a lot sleeker. They tend to be a lot faster, and they tend not to hit for power as much as like your corner infielders or your catcher will. And then your second baseman and your shortstop, the middle infielders, are kind of like a stepping stone. Like they're in between. You can have guys that are contact hitters that hit for power. My mind goes to somebody like Derek Jeter, was a shortstop, arguably one of the best of his whole generation when he played for the Yankees. Now, he was a guy who could hit for power, but was also very common for hitting for contact. He was a contact hitter, but did have the ability to crack balls into the, home runs and such like that. So that's typically what you have in your lineup here. You'll have contact hitters in the front, like 1 and 2. You'll have your power hitters like 3, 4, 5. You'll go back to contact hitters for a bit. And then sometimes you can have, like, most guys will put their catcher like late in the lineup there, because the catcher is the position that takes the most wear and tear on your body. Now, like, imagine you sitting there behind home plate, squatting, on your legs like that, and standing up basically the entire time, for 100 pitches in a game, even more, like calling pitches and such. Your legs get worn out really, really quick. So catchers will typically bat like later in the lineup. They're typically much bigger guys and things like this. So that's generally how it goes. Generally speaking, you're going to keep your high average guys, the guys who are going to hit the most, put them in the top. The guys who hit the worst, put them at the bottom. It's just generally how it goes. Because in most circumstances, the guys who are on the top of the order are going to be batting more times in the game than the guys at the bottom of the order. Now, no matter what happens, everybody bats at least 3 times in the game. No matter what happens, because 27 outs in all, 9 guys times 3, 27. So unless somebody gets swapped out, you're batting at least 3 times in the game, no matter what happens. But this is just like how math works out, like averages and everything. This is the other thing. Baseball is a game of averages. Baseball is a game of numbers. So people can become very, very obsessive about it in that regard. The whole thing is about numbers. So let's stop right there. And before we close everything out here for the evening, and then I got to run over to the Old Glory Club channel here to do our weekly stream over there. I will present last thing right here, just some fantastic compilations of World Series games. The last couple of outs of a bunch of, yeah, that's fine. I don't need that high. All right, a bunch of outs of the previous games throughout the years here, and I'm just picking my favorites here. Some really, really memorable moments here. So let's go to so the Blue Jays, the first ever Canadian team to win a World Series title. They won it in 1992, but they also repeated in 1993. And you're about to see how they repeated as World Series champions in 1993 right here. And it's one of the more memorable hits in baseball history.
Joe has had his moments. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Here's the pitch on the way. A swing and a belt. Left field. Way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are world.
Recordings just got
bloody hell. I hate these damn ads and all this bullshit. Go to hell. And what a great, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So Joe Carter swings a belt right into left field, walks it off, 3-run home run. Everyone goes wild, goes absolutely crazy, bananas. Again, like I was saying before, it's just the randomness of baseball, the spontaneity of it. You just don't get it in any other sport. Like there you go. It just literally goes from 0 to 1,000 in the snap of fingers. Which like, and again, like I said before, like how can you not be romantic about baseball? It's just amazing. Now, what game is another one? There was. Oh yeah. Okay. So here we go. Here's 97. The Florida Marlins and the Cleveland Indians. And the Marlins were a fresh team at this point. I think they were only 3 years into a franchise or something like that. And they won the World Series right away.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
God, it just gets you going every time, man. Again, like that 0 to 1,000 moment, like I was talking about, everyone just loses their minds in a circumstance like this. There he is, hits a liner, it clips off the front of the mound, goes over the guy's glove, into center field. Everyone loses it. Amazing. Now, how can you not love baseball, man? All right, where's another good one here? This next one will be 2001. So a little background on this one. So the Yankees were in the middle of a fantastic series of dynasties in the late 90s into the 2000s. The Yankees at this point had won 3 World Series in a row, 4 in the last 5 years. They had a gap in 97, what I just showed right there. The Marlins winning the World Series, and the Yankees won the next 3, and they were in the World Series in 2001. And this was right after September 11th here. People will remember that President George W. Bush at the time went out and threw a pitch, the first pitch at I think it was Game 3 of the World Series. And as much as I despise George W. Bush as a president, he did a lot of very, very evil things. I do have to give the man credit because he did actually throw like a perfect pitch right down home plate. And it was actually a pretty heartwarming moment for the country at that time. It's New York. They're the Yankees. They're playing in the World Series. September 11th had just happened, a couple of weeks prior to this. So, it was a good like unifying moment for the country at that time. But so here you go in 2001, Yankees versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. And again, the Diamondbacks were a new team. I think in 1998 they were at, so very fresh team, like only like 3 years into playing the ball game. And they had a great, very, very good team. that year. So let's take a look here and see what happens in Game 7.
The chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the ninth. Game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Floated. Center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
So there you go. Crazy stuff. Really fun stuff. Where are a couple other very good highlights? Let's see. Red Sox finally winning it all after almost 100 years. White Sox after that. Then was the Cardinals. Red Sox won again. Yeah, none of these are too great here. Let's see. 2010, like I was mentioning before, between the actually we could probably watch both of these because the Rangers losing both of these, before winning it all last night. So watch a couple of these here. 2010, 2011, back to back.
Here it is. Struck him out. And for the first time since 1954, the Giants are world champions.
That's another thing that's so crazy to hear as well. Is like this sport has been around for such a long time. 1954. I mean, in 2005, the White Sox won, and they hadn't won in 88 years before that. Well, like baseball is an extremely old sport with a very rich history attached to it and everything. So. And here we go. Like I said, 6-2 was that game.
In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride.
Oh, man. It must have been so exciting being a Cardinals fan in that stadium after the legendary Game 6 and then going into Game 7 right here. Oh, man. Crazy. One last one that I want to show off here is 2016 because there's something interesting about this one. Number one, it was it was a very interesting time because I forget if it was just before this or just after this, like days afterwards or days before. I forget exactly what day specifically this game was played. I think it was a couple days afterwards though. Donald Trump was elected president of the United States in 2016. So that's another very monumentous moment here. But I was actually outside the stadium at this game at the time. I had, by strike of luck, I was in Cleveland at the time for this game, Cleveland and the Chicago Cubs. And I was outside the stadium at this game in a bar with a bunch of people. And I'll never forget this because I'm sitting there in the bar. Everyone's like crowded around the TV because both teams, Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs, both have not won a World Series in close to 100 years at that point. So everyone was really hyped up, really excited and everything like this. And you actually heard the cheering and everyone going nuts in the stadium before the broadcast actually aired on the TV, right? Because there's like a bit of a delay and everything like this. So everyone was hearing the stadium, like literally like shaking the walls. It was so loud and everything like this because the Cubs finally won their World Series in literally for forever. And then like it came up on the screen and everyone just lost it and was going crazy. People were throwing beers, spraying them all over the place. It was a very monumental, very, very fun memory of mine, of baseball here. So let's go to the 2016 winner. And this game was also one of my favorite World Series ever in 2016. It went 7 games. The Cubs were down 3-1, and they ended up winning the next 3 games, 1, 2, 3, all in a row. And in this Game 7 in particular, it was just a back and forth slugfest the entire time. Well, it was tied. Then the Cubs were winning. Then the Indians were winning. And then they tied it up in the 9th. And then, they go into 10 innings. And then the Cubs scored at the top of the 10th. And then here we go in the bottom of the 10th. So this game was fantastic. It was like such a roller coaster the entire game. There was a grand slam that was hit in this game, so it's like 4 runs, so like bases are loaded, guy hits a home run. That's the most you could score in one move in baseball is 4. So a grand slam got hit, which is very rare, and yeah, very, very fun game. But let's go take a look at the 2016 one and we'll wrap it up here.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs win the World Series. Brian makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Yeah, it was so loud and so wild and so crazy in downtown Cleveland after that one. Oh man, was that a fun night out in the bars for that one. So yes, indeed. Actually, you know what? There's actually one more game I want to show off here for very special purposes because it was something that had never happened in the entire history of all professional sports up until this point. So in 2019, it was the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros, and the Nationals have never won a World Series before. And this is like their first one that they ever won. Now, what was so special about this series? It went 7 games, which again, like, is fantastic. Whenever a World Series goes 7 games, it's going to be a fun one. But it goes 7 games, and for the first time in all professional sports history, across all the sports, the home team did not win a single game in the entire series. So what happened is Washington went to Houston for the first 2 games, won those 2 games. Then they went back to Washington. Houston won all 3 of those games. And then they went back to Houston, and Washington won the last 2 games. So the home team never won a single game in that entire series, which just doesn't happen in professional sports, home field advantage and everything like that for a reason. So, and then for obvious reasons, the Nationals went absolutely batshit insane when they won this game. And they also were a wild card team. They were like the underdogs, in this series. And the Houston Astros were the favorites to win. I think they had the most wins in baseball that year. So it was an upset.
Here they are, 1 strike away, 1 out away. 3-2. Here it is!
There you go.
The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Yeah, so of course they're going absolutely insane. They're losing it, man. What a crazy amount of fun and great celebration it must have been, man. I love baseball. It's great. I'll never stop loving this game, for as long as I live. And more people should definitely be doing that. Oh, for fuck's sake, has the fucking oh my god, I just looked in the damn thing and the damn stream has been taken down multiple times here in the clips. Oh my god, fuck you, YouTube. Just fuck you. Oh god, they are fucking terrible. I'm literally just noticing this right now. Unbelievable. All right, well, this is a very depressing way to end this damn thing. So, god, unbelievable. Fuck you, Fox. You guys are terrible. All right, I might even like great. So I got to disable this stream and do some work on the back end. So wonderful. Go to hell, YouTube, and go to hell, Fox, and all the rest of you bastards. Not letting people just sit back and relax and enjoy some good old classic baseball. Go to hell. Well, but anywho, I gotta shut it down here, guys. I guess I'll be editing the stream on the backlog here. Go and find the clips yourself. As it appears that the gods of YouTube are destroying everything. God damn it. I fucking hate these people. Alrighty. Everyone have a good night. Go over to the OGC channel and be sure to come back Thursdays for Man's Hour, all that good stuff. So we'll see you guys next week.